You know, we were adding up the numbers today. Because, I know that if you live in Cleveland and you got a governor that lives down in Ohio, you say, well, are they going to remember us? Well, when we looked at the number of dollars that have currently either been spent or committed, Cuyahoga County, Northeast Ohio, and Cleveland, the numbers add up to almost $1 billion in infrastructure improvement to drive economic development through this area and to connect us to the rest of America. It's a fantastic amount of dollars, and I know that it will be applied very wisely. Beth Mooney mentioned Jobs Ohio. It's our economic development operation. And they work very effectively with Team NEO and the GCP to try to focus on a broader approach to economic development. You see, in Jobs Ohio now, we have people that can actually talk to their peers about economic development. And believe me, it makes a significant difference. Just think about this. In a short 3 years, Ohio has gone from the 48th best out of 50 job-creating state over the last 3 years to number 5 in America and number 1 in the Midwest. And it is because we have smarter economic development. And when I look at just a few of the companies that are now either expanding, Sherwin-Williams expanding, working with Jobs Ohio, Philips Imaging, bringing their imaging from California to Cleveland, exciting. Nestle's on the move in Cleveland, Ohio. Alexander Mann, an investment for all the way from Ireland. You see, we're not only building more companies, but we are diversifying our ability to be in a position. If one sector is hurt, the rest of the sectors can also thrive and save us from any downturn in any particular sector. Jobs Ohio is just scratching the surface for what we can achieve, and I believe, Beth, very soon they're going to be up here for another full-scale meeting. We think it's critically important. One of the issues that I faced in this job is whether Ohio would decide to bring as much as $14 billion of our money, Ohioans' money, back from Washington to deal with some of our most vexing problems. I will say that the healthcare leaders in this city, along with the business leaders, believed that we needed to take advantage of the Medicaid program being offered in Washington to bring our dollars back home. The Cleveland Clinic considered it critical. UH and Tom Zenti, critical. Metro Health, critical. Ladies and gentlemen, bringing this money home to Ohio now allows us to fulfill some of the promises that we made to those who live in the shadows. Just today, on the front page of the New York Times, is an article about the number of mentally ill people who have been put in our jails and in our prisons, a number of them that have had terrible incidents with our law enforcement because they were in a position where they represented a threat to law enforcement. And I read this article, and I just thought how great it is that we're bringing the resources home to Ohio to do more in our communities to help those who live in the shadows and who have often been ignored, those who have mental illness. You know, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't long ago when I wasn't in Cleveland, I was in Columbus, and it was cold, and it was windy, and it was snowy. And I was riding in the car, and I looked, and I saw a man, you've seen him, pulling a shopping cart with all of his worldly possessions in that shopping cart, probably moving to find a place to sleep that night that could have been under a bridge. There was a day when that man was a little baby, and his mother held him in her arms and thought about the great things that this man could become. But because of the tragedy of mental illness and the lack of treatment, here he was on that street pulling that shopping cart looking for a place to sleep. We can't fix it all, but we are moving to fix it inside of our communities by empowering our people to be able to stand up for those who are mentally ill and give them the treatment they deserve so they can have the same kind of a life that we have. And on drug addiction, as we know, drug addiction is not limited to just one area of town. And I think about our minority brothers and sisters who had the scourge of drug addiction in their neighborhoods, while the majority population didn't understand, didn't always help them to fight the devil that was poisoning their neighborhoods. Well, you know, now that devil is infecting all areas of our state and all areas of our society. We're busting the people that sell these drugs. We're controlling the dispensing of these drugs. But at the same time, we have to stop the demand by working in our schools through the Start Talking program that Eric Gordon is embracing. And we need to rehab those people. If we do not, they are people who live with an alligator in their living room who chases them around every day and will eat them and kill them if that alligator is not fed. We are launching the battle against drug addiction in this state, and we must win this battle for the good of our children. And so we have decided that while we're growing Ohio's economy and getting stronger, we are not going to ignore those who are some of the weakest among us. The capital bill that just got signed, $2.4 billion in capital projects for our universities, for our K through 12, and was mentioned here for our museums, for the art gallery, for the symphony, for performing arts. And I want to thank George Forbes for his great work in the arts community to make sure that our African American community is recognized for the great art that they bring to our community, something that hadn't been done in a long time. And this capital bill was possible because we now have economic growth, we have a balanced budget, and $1.5 billion surplus. It gives us the space to do the things to shine up our communities, to invest in our communities, and to provide more opportunities. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ohio's coming back. We're up almost 250,000 jobs in the last 3 years, but we were down 350,000. We have a ways to go. We are balanced with our budgets and fiscally sound as we could hope to be here with this $1.5 billion surplus. All of that serves as the basis to grow companies in our state and to recruit companies not just outside of Ohio, but around the world. And it's beginning to work. But for this city is beginning to reclaim its great legacy. As Ohio does better, Cleveland does better, and as Cleveland does better, I have a greater and greater sense of satisfaction that little boy that came to Ohio with his Uncle Harry who said, "Johnny, you're in the promised land," maybe in a sense, I'm able to fulfill my purpose with the people around me to help lift this great city and the great people who live in this city. Folks, you sell Cleveland. You sell it to the young people. You sell it to the veterans. You sell it and ask them to come to Cleveland. This is a great city with great assets, great neighborhoods, and great people. If you have any doubt, just look around you today at this convention center. We are moving and moving in the right direction, but when you have momentum and when you get ahead, you push harder, you push faster, and you shoot for the stars. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get there because Cleveland is as good as it gets anywhere in this country, and frankly, anywhere in this world. God bless you, and thank you.